Okay, I put this on social media. What do Wes Welker, Randy Moss, Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks, Danny Amendola, Jarvis Landry, Amari Cooper, and Jerry Jeudy all have in common? They were coached by this guy, the Chiefs' new wide receivers coach, Chad O'Shea. Sometimes you can go full circle, brother. It's been over 20 years. You're back.
Yeah, I am back, and I'm so excited to be back. I mean, it's really pretty awesome for me. It's like full circle, being here in 2003 where I started my NFL career, and then be back here again. I mean, it's an exciting time for me. I know my family's also excited about the opportunity, and we're just can't wait to get started.
Now, it's been over 20 years since you coached here, but what do you remember about Kansas City and the football culture here in town?
Yeah, I mean, this is unique. This is a culture that's unique. It's one that you'll never forget, and that was one of the things that attracted me to come back here, is just kind of the power of Kansas City, the power of the organization. And I think the power's in its people. You know, the people here in the city and the organization are just outstanding, and it was an easy decision for me to come back here, or have the opportunity to come back here to work for Coach Reed, but to come back to an organization that I knew so well and have just a tremendous amount of respect for, and mainly because of its people.
I was going to ask him, being back in this building, but this building didn't exist when you were here last time. The whole building's new. We used to be in the stadium, right? That's where the facilities were.
So when I came here and people talked about this building being an aging building, I was in the stadium when our offices were in the stadium. So, you know, dude, I have some great memories in the stadium there where our offices were, and just great memories of Coach Vermeil and a lot of the great players that at the time we were fortunate enough to coach and be around. And I know I've stayed in contact with Coach Vermeil. He's a mentor to myself, and just think so highly of him. And it's just ironic that I got an opportunity to work for Coach Vermeil, a Hall of Fame coach, and now I have an opportunity to work for Coach Reed, and those two are obviously connected. So it's really and just an awesome time for me to get back here, and I just, again, can't wait to get started with what is going to be a great year for us, and I look forward to it.
You look good in red. It just felt like it was wrong to have you on the other sideline, including 3 playoff games against you as an opponent. But it's great to have you back here. But I want to ask you, I want to get into the weeds of the position here. And you've been around, I mentioned all those guys, but some of those guys led the NFL in receptions. You've been around high production receivers. How do you balance the high production and within the scheme? And you might get 10 targets one week and 2 the next. How do you handle that and coach that?
Yeah, and I've been very fortunate to be around some great players who had different skill sets. And what's common with all the great players is they're competitive and they want the football. And I think that's okay, to want the football and to be a part of a winning offense. The balance comes into what can we do to put the team first in areas that might be outside of just catching the football and having your name on the stat line. And I think that's what's really important for myself. They're going to feel that when I'm in the room with them, that we are going to put the team first, and that's where it's going to start. And with that, we can also attain every goal that they want for themselves, and ultimately those goals that will help us as a team if they can get those. So I think there is a balance, and I think that's the key, that you have to just understand that there is a balance and also know where the players are coming from. They're highly decorated players who are very competitive and want the football and are deserving of the football, and that will help us win. But at the same time, we're going to do other things to really help this Kansas City football team win.
Now, when you think about your early days as a professional coach in Kansas City over 20 years ago, all the time that's the past and the teams that you've worked for in the time since, where do you think you've grown most as a coach over the last 2 decades?
Yeah, my growth has been with the opportunity I've had with these great players and great coaches to be around. And I've learned more from these players and coaches than I have from any video or any manual. You know, and again, I've been so fortunate throughout all my stops to have people that I have just tremendous amount of respect for, not only in coaching, but those players. I've learned a lot from players. And, you know, every stop along the way, I've picked up something small from each of those experiences with those people, and it's kind of led me to sit here and be able to bring the best I have to help the Kansas City Chiefs win.
You've won Super Bowl rings, you've been a coordinator. Football teams have different subcultures. An offense will be a subculture, but then a wide receiver room becomes a subculture. How do you develop a room that mirrors what Coach wants for the team and for the offense?
Yeah, I think the first thing is we have to be aligned with what Coach Reed wants and his vision for the football team. And we do that in doing our job and being dependable and being detailed. I'll use those words over and over. Those are going to be words that you're going to hear me speak a lot here in Kansas City of, like, we need to be dependable and detailed for this team. And it all starts with being aligned with the vision that we have as a football team. I know the vision I have as the receivers, again, it's going to have the word team in it, and that's going to be put the team first in everything we do. And I think if we put the team first in everything we do, then that's going to be aligned with what Coach Reed's vision is for this football team.
You mentioned you worked for a lot of great head coaches over the years. Was there ever a piece of advice or maybe just a workflow that you observed that kind of inspired the coach that you are today?
Yeah, I think that it started right here in Kansas City with Coach Vermeil. I mean, Coach Vermeil really valued the relationship part of coaching, and I learned that from him, and that is something that is held very true. You know, I think that one of the most important things you can do as a coach is to develop a relationship with your players, and everything starts there. Without that, you have nothing. And that's something that you can say, but it's a lot harder to do, and it takes some investment on both ends. And I think that's something I'm really looking forward to here, of developing relationships with people I've never met before. And I just think that there's power in people, there's power in relationships, and that's what I look forward to doing here.
Chad, the last couple of years, I think in the league, maybe it's changed a little bit. We've seen guys like Puka Nacua that have risen, Jackson Smith and Jigba this year, or Cooper Kupp, where it seems like precision and persistence.
Yeah.
So the 40 time, yes. But what have you learned, and particularly the list of the guys that you've coached, where, and you mentioned this already, but precision with persistence and consistency?
Yeah, I think that, I value at the receiver position, as important as it is anything, is being detailed in everything we do. So when they say, hey, the route's at 10 yards, we need to be at 10 yards. And if we're where we need to be at the right time for the quarterback that we have playing, good things will happen. I think sometimes that can become more important than a 40 time or some of the things that are measurable physically, is just the intangibles of the receiver position, of the detail, the dependability, the persistence, being able to have a drop pass and then to get back in the huddle and be persistent enough to be able to be there for your team on the next play. And I think that what I've learned over my career and some of the guys I've coached, that's maybe more important than any 40 time or any height or weight that we have on these players.
This is a tough question to answer right now. We're just getting started. But fast forward 6 months, when people from around the league are looking at our wide receiver room, what do you want the identity of this wide receiver room to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that the identity, even though we can look at it 6 months from now, I think it starts like right now, and right when these players come in the building. And I think that the identity we want in our team, again, is in our receivers, is we're going to put the team first in everything we do. It starts with that. And if we can do that, then we can do everything on an individual goal basis that we need to. But it's going to start with putting the team first. You're going to have a group that's going to be able to play fast from the line of scrimmage and to be able to block and compete in the run game. And I keep it real simple in my teaching. I say, get open, catch the ball, and compete in the run game. If you do those three things, we stand a chance to win at the receiver position. So, and that's how I've always been with my teaching, whether it's an individual route or just our identity. When you ask me about that, let's just keep it simple. We're going to get open, catch the ball, and compete in the run game. We're try to do those things to help us win.
The tight window catch. This isn't a contested catch. This is you're open for a fraction of a second. And our division has excellent defensive backs. Chargers do, Broncos do, and the AFC, the Texans do. Where you may have a fraction of a second where you're open and another fraction of a second to catch it before they arrive.
Yeah.
How about teaching that and that becoming a weapon for this team?
Yeah, I think it's something like, as you say, talking about our division, you're going to get guys that are going to be able to cover. And it's so important that we are able to function in those high traffic areas. What I call them contested catches and traffic catches. You know, traffic type throws where there's going to be some type of distraction because the defender is going to be close to you, or our ability to make a play in a contested area. I do think you can improve in those areas. It's something that, you know, we can improve on daily. I have a plan in place for our players when we get started in the spring, whether it's drill work, film work, teaching from my experience with these past players that I've been fortunate to be around. I mean, we're going to get started on that, and I do think it's an area you can improve, and we'll have to be good in those areas because you made a great point. In our division, there's very competitive coverage players.
You had a wide receiver room with Tom Brady as the quarterback. Now you got a wide receiver room with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback. What about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Like to coach the receivers and to have accomplished quarterbacks and to be with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you know, like my wife says, hey, we're going to Kansas City, and she was so excited, and she knew one of the attractions obviously was Patrick Mahomes, and being the receiver coach for a quarterback like Pat, I just can't. I've had an opportunity to meet him. I'm so excited. I just can't wait to get started. You know, and I was at an organization that went through some quarterback changes recently, and I know the importance of having a established leader at that position and how important that is to the guys that I coach. So I can't wait with Patrick, and again, working with Tom for all those years, I'm sure that I'm going to end up seeing a lot of similarities between those two.
And we can't wait to see what the wide receiver room is going to look like with Chad O'Shea as our wide receivers coach.